Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an attempt at a solo cast here from Rifkin. This is for the WCS qualifiers, and here I am today with HappyZerg and NeoAngel. Just now realizing, of course, I do need to adjust this a little bit so that it fits on and get the Windows taskbar out of the way. But yes, so we are here with a PBZ. Now, I don't actually know if this is a best of 3 or best of 1 still on account of the fact that the brackets have been down for the majority of the day. However, this is still a live cast nonetheless. And yeah, introducing these players more properly and correctly in the top right corner of the map. Playing yellow, playing Protoss. It is, against all authorities, NeoAngel. And his opponent spawning orange, and in the lower left, it's the orange Zerg player. You know him from Navi. He is HappyZerg. And the disclaimer I must throw in with just about every single cast of this guy is, guys, HappyZerg, also known formerly as FXO Slavic, so if you do hear me misspeak once or twice throughout the game, and I do refer to a player as Slavic, I am referring in fact to HappyZerg. Now, of course, this being the WCS qualifiers, a lot is on the line. I mean, this is one of the last days to qualify. They are going up to, I believe, the round of 16 today, because they started with like a round of 2,000 brackets, something insane like that. And the round of 16 will be continued forward, I believe, tomorrow, or at least another day, depending on your point of view of when you're watching this. So this will be, I don't know, an interesting format, I guess you could call it. It's really unorthodox for stuff to have 2,000 people sign up for a StarCraft tournament. I don't think like a year ago you even had 2,000 people playing StarCraft on a competitive level, but shows you how far it's come. And for the WCS to put on such a big tournament, oh me oh my. Now, NeoAngel has chosen to go for Nexus first rather than Forge, but still that Forge Fast Expand being his build of choice. Can't say I disagree with this. This is a pretty safe and stable build in this particular matchup. HappyZerg does scout this. Now, he could potentially, he's already put down his hatchery, he's got a spawning pool on the way, could go forward with a couple Zerglings, and I've seen players like TLO rip a player of NeoAngel's caliber apart just with 4 Zerglings. So, I mean, it's all going to come down to what these players choose to do. Now, it looks like HappyZerg are going to be plenty happy to play just passive for the time being. Which, again, not a bad choice. He's going to play defensively, and I have actually talked to him about his playstyles for the WCS prior to this match, and HappyZerg pretty much told me, like, I focus too much. If I get too built up on who I'm playing against, I end up becoming my own worst enemy. So today his strategy, literally guys, I'm quoting him on this, it's just this, not give a good gosh darn, and like, just play. I mean, that's what it comes down to for StarCraft, and if you defeat yourself mentally by being worried about who you're playing against, then what chance do you have with your mechanics, really? Now I do want to point out NeoAngel has this really nice sort of SimCity going on here, with what I can only best describe as a tower defense-esque maze going on. I do like this quite a bit, because the build he's chosen to do with this is it allows the cybernetics core to be more safely nestled in. It's not as exposed as some people putting it out here, and this will actually keep it safe thanks to the cannon, whereas otherwise you would normally have roaches or other such things pick it off. Now, yesterday, I have to say, for day 3 of the qualifiers, HappyZerg not having the best run in the universe when it came to Protoss, but we'll see how he does today. NeoAngel is, of course, a really, really high-caliber player. I've seen him play in multiple events prior to this, and it's not going to be an easy game for HappyZerg, not at all. But NeoAngel as well, he's kind of in that Protoss sticky situation right now, where a lot of them are having trouble dealing with the mid to late game Zerg players. Not because, like, oh my god, Zerg went Broodlords and won the game, but because the mechanics available to Zerg are just so astounding. I mean, Mutalisks are good versus Colossus and Stalkers, Swarm Hosts are good against just about anything, and by going Stargate first, I like this. Because StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm is at this phase where Protoss Air is, it's not like it's impossible to beat, but it's pretty broken in terms of like how difficult it is to break. You can't just max on Corruptors, you can't go straight Hydralisks, I mean Void Rays, Tempest, whatever. Everything is pretty good in general, so it's really hard to deal with the Protoss Air if it gets to that point. However, NeoAngel is most likely going to pump out either a small slew of Phoenixes or a couple Oracles out of this Stargate initially, and I do like that he went for the Robo facility as well. By going Phoenix first, this to me indicates, like, alright, I'm going to give out a couple Phoenixes on the field, show some harass, hopefully bait, and I'm saying that in air quotes, bait my opponent into going for, like, a Hydra's composition, and follow this up then with Colossus. Now, HappyZerg doing something that I find is kind of unique to him, where he likes to get Numente's Carapace fairly early. Now, I'm not saying it's unique to him in the fact that he's the only one who did it, he's the first one who did it, but it is something he definitely does quite frequently. And the advantage of having Numente's Carapace, you know, it's the difference between the Overlord getting halfway through the base and getting taken out, and seeing everything in the base and then some before being taken out. So that small gas investment, usually quite worth it. Another really nice thing here, just positionally, is HappyZerg placing his Magre hatchery at his natural. I love when players do this because it bridges the gap so much better between all of these bases. Whereas if it's in the main, you know, one force field cutting off your Magre hatchery can just really put a dent in your day. And yeah, so he's seen the Phoenixes. The really speedy, fast Overlord is actually getting around the base quite nicely. Phoenix is moving out to these bases, but immediately we see 7 Spore Crawlers. Holy moly! What dedication. Now, some players you'll see only put 1 down and be content with losing their queen time and time again, but having these double Spore Crawlers down will ensure that your worker line will be safe. I mean, it's one thing to put a Spore Crawler down, you just kind of bank on the Phoenixes not hanging around all day, but by having 2 of them, it's a big threat to NeoAngel and will really limit the damage he's able to cause. But I do like that he has started to clean up the map, you know, taking out Overlords where he can, Zerglings being picked off as well, just to really limit what vision HappyZerg has going across the field. Now this third base is up and running for NeoAngel, and this is not good news for HappyZerg. He's going to confirm this with the scout, but I mean, a 3-base Protoss is so freaking scary to deal with. Forget 2-base versus 3-base, but 3-base Protoss? Oh my goodness. And he's going to get in here in the nicely positioned cannon, but oh no, the force field going down just in time. Hopefully he will focus that pylon, maybe? No, it's just going to go up towards the natural. The cannon positioned very nicely will kind of stint the aggression coming out of HappyZerg. Force field going down. Will he flood in with more? Is the big question. No, looks like he's content to just stay where he is. And one thing too, we do have some nice creep spray coming out of our Zerg player as well, something not a lot of players tend to do because of how easy it is with observers to just take out the creep. Phoenixes though continuing to come in, and there's that Colossus transition I was talking about. You see it coming out now. I really hope HappyZerg kind of knows like to metagame the metagame here and get some Swarm Host with this Infestation Pit, but he could also just use this to go straight to Vipers, you know, Hive Tech, get the Crabs, which are equally good at dispatching with the Colossus. But Vipers rather are of course susceptible to the Phoenixes as they don't have their own attack. So I'll be really curious to me which path he decides to go with. Melee attacks coming out for these Zerglings as well. Says to me maybe he's not looking to go for Swarm Hose, but that choice is not gone, it's not off the field. Sorry, just taking a moment to assess what is going on. Solo casting skill, still not up to par with my dual casting, but practice makes perfect. Now, Colossus do have their extended thermal lance on the way, and right now there's not a lot on the field. However, there are several sentries with a lot of energy, and they should be more than enough to deal with these Zerglings flooding in. Now, HappyZerg throwing me for a loop once again. Not Vipers, not Swarm Hosts, but instead Pathogen Glens. I haven't seen Infestors used in this matchup in quite some time, and this is interesting because to me this says like he's really expecting a large air army, but with the Overlord scouting, he should have seen the Robo, he should have seen the army, and he's got to know that the composition of Void Rays is not going to be what NeoAngel's going for. And again, being driven back from that third base, sadly, with the great walling and beautiful SimCity that NeoAngel has here, HappyZerg is quite limited on what he can do with these Zerglings. Now, I do like the fact that he's continued to stick with the melee upgrades rather than range. He's got a lot of roaches on the way. The armor, of course, will benefit the roaches, but the actual damage from the melee attacks won't. However, this says to me, simply by going with the melee attacks, HappyZerg is looking for that endgame composition. Whether it's Broodlords for the Broodlings, yeah, Hive now finishing up, or whether it's going to be the Ultra switch, either way, he'll be able to do whatever he wants. It is a bit weird to me too, just thinking, like, there is no real late-game ranged weapon upgrades that's that viable compared to Ultralisks and Broodlords, but Ultra Cavern on the way, and guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen HappyZerg before, he's got that really cool, really slick Collector's Edition Ultralisk skin, so I'm looking forward to see those things, those beautiful bastards pop onto the field. However, NeoAngel still has a very scary force. For how small it looks, you gotta keep in mind, these are Colossus, man. Colossi, even, as there are more than one. The Stalker count is kind of whatever, but it's these sentries, a couple of mortals underneath. He's going to have no problem dealing with the Roach Force. And with the High Templar and Storm follow-up to this as well, he's going to have plenty of area of effect mixed in with these Colossus to deal with the swarm of Zerg that will be on the way. However, oh me oh my, something I haven't seen Zerg players do in a while, shy of like maybe Hyun. We do have drops being researched, and we may see HappyZerg go for a Roach drop and Zergling drop even, whether it's a Doom drop into the main or on top of the army. This could be beautiful because NeoAngel doesn't have the stalker count, doesn't have the anti-air count to deal with the Overlords dropping. Now, Tempests are coming out, but you got to keep in mind, guys, Tempests, with that beautiful range and that huge attack damage, that bonus versus massive only applies to air. So, by going for this Ultralisk tech instead of Broodlords, HappyZerg is actually going to just walk all over everything on the ground, providing he can get himself that initial engage. But, again, I feel a drop is a really nice choice coming from him. As right now, this game has been rather passive. We look at the resources lost, it's pretty non-existent. 35 Zerglings have died through the course of the game, a couple Overlords added to that, but Corruptor's taking a little bit of pepper from these Phoenixes. Really nothing too scary to worry about, but HappyZerg positioning himself for this sort of two-pronged hit. I don't know that our Protoss player is aware of this. He knows of the force to the south, but seeing that he's got to go like, that's really tiny. It's puny compared to what the Zerg player should have, and oh, HappyZerg going to see this force in the north. Will he come in from the south? No, Temorph going down, but he will just retreat, losing a lot of Zerglings though, and again, NeoAngel not losing that much, but here comes the pincer from below, and the attack from the north. HappyZerg hitting from two fronts, getting in here, storms on both sides, no force fields to be seen, but with the cannons, the overcharge, and the Colossus, he doesn't need any of that, as he's just going to drive HappyZerg's force back. Now the Ultra Switch coming out, 6 Ultralisks on the way, and while everything is on the field, it's great at dealing with Roaches and Zerglings. That's not necessarily the case here for Ultralisks. Creep being dropped at the fifth base location has been driven off for the time being, but HappyZerg with his own 5th just completing. Hopefully we'll get some geysers on there soon, as we see he's actually supply live from that pickoff, funny enough. But I'm curious, with the Overlord drop research, what are his plans? I'd love to see Ultralisk drops or something insane like that. Some hallucinated Colossi on the field here too to add to the fray, but the Ultralisk getting in right underneath here. We see him just mincemeating the army. The Colossus are driven back as the Stalkers die, and there's nothing left to buffer for them. And man, that orange Ultralisk skin looks so good. The Colossus falls again, and NeoAngel has lost most of his high-tech units, his slow-tech units. Transitioning into this Tempest composition will be nice because, of course, Ultralisk can't hit air, but what good are they when they attack so slow? The Ultralisk will just continue to kill everything on the ground. More Immortals and air tech on the way for NeoAngel, and this, right now, for the time being, looks pretty darn good for HappyZerg. He has been throwing units away quite literally in every use of the word up to this point, but that Ultralisk swap, as we see, evening out the resources lost, getting him a really nice engage there towards his 4th. And I would love to see, quite frankly, an Ultralisk drop. That would, to me, be hilarious, but you can't always get what you want. Crazy isn't as crazy does, as again, these are the WCS EU qualifiers. These are serious games, and you don't get to joke around. Another Spire on the way, so we may see an air tech transition come out of this, whether it'll be Colossus Mutalisk for the Colossus or the Tempest. We'll have to see. Corruptor's, though, definitely not going to be the best choice with this many Tempests on the field, but this base can clean up so darn quick, guys. Ultralisks with that 41 damage. It's not exactly... Oh, actually, I take that back. We got that drop I was talking about earlier. A small contingency of Blings do come into the main, but Dark Templar clean them up with the Zealots. However, Cannons don't stand a chance against these Ultralisks here in the 4th. And again, the forces of NeoAngel are here, ready to defend. Storm's going down on top of everything, and HappyZerg has to back off for the time being. But look at these Queens. Lots of transfuses on these Ultralisks. Already almost unkillable as is, but you add in a ton of healing from these transfuses. However, the Dark Templar are capitalizing on the lack of Overseers on the map, and HappyZerg actually going to lose quite a few Queens here. Is forced to retreat, and that lack of detection. What a kick in the butt. However, with all these Overlords constantly lurking around the field, Ultralisks being remaxed upon, hopefully he will have enough for the next engagement. Meanwhile, NeoAngel is going to find himself with a bit more trouble. 2 more Ultralisks coming into the south, canceling this base once more. Not a fun thing to have to do, but so many Dark Templar. And actually, just thinking on it, these Tempests, they don't do bonus damage versus Overseers, but again, HappyZerg, let's take a look, actually doesn't have a single Overseer on the map, and with 8 Dark Templar, oh no, I don't actually like NeoAngel's choice to make them into Archons. I feel they would have been much better off as Dark Templar, as we saw before, driving the Ultralisks back. Now Dark Templar, despite being cloaked, do still take extra damage from that splash. Well, not extra, but take damage rather from the splash. But oh my goodness, how many Zerglings is this 64 Zerglings going to be dropped into the main while HappyZerg tries to attack the south with the Ultralisk. What a great split he's going to force here from NeoAngel's forces. Here comes that drop, big and scary. And will this be enough to draw the attention of NeoAngel though? Because he only needs a small amount of Ultralisks to get in. He just has to force NeoAngel's army to be like, oh my god, what's happening in the main right now? Tons of Zerglings flooding in, but no, NeoAngel going to be like a rock, not distracted, not discouraged. A small warp in at home should deal with that as he dispatches with the army to the south. So HappyZerg, well, he's getting a lot of kills, a lot of tech damage going down. His geysers going down as well. Can he get this Templar Archives? Can he get any more of these big buildings? Fleet Beacon was picked up. Going to go straight for that Dark Shrine. Magnificent choice here with the micromanagement, but in the north yard, Warping of Zealots was put in, but put to a quick end as well. HappyZerg cleaning up rather quickly. However, several workers were lost in that engagement, or not even engagement, I guess pick-off. Will the Twilight Council go down as well? This could be huge! No, he does stay alive just barely. HappyZerg continuing his aggression with these Zerglings, though what will he go for next? Going for workers by the looks of it. And Zerglings with 3/3 adrenal glands are just so deadly as we see here. Now whereas this is a War Prism in the north, and sadly HappyZerg has almost no anti-air to be found. A couple Corruptors will get rid of it. But NeoAngel again staying strong like a rock. I mean, HappyZerg is doing tons of damage, but still just for some reason doesn't see any dents forming in the army of NeoAngel. Or armor, rather, of NeoAngel. The big catch, though, is NeoAngel is finally getting the space up. Tons of cannons coming down here, and who can blame him? He needs every single one of them. As HappyZerg again coming across the field with what I feel is so many Ultralisks. Almost too many Ultralisks. 12 of them. And Archons, while they are good against most Zerg units, still get crushed by Ultralisks. I mean, Ultralisks, I feel, were designed to be that anti-ground unit. Here we go. Ever so happy that Burrow Charge didn't make it past the beta is NeoAngel as he's trying to deal with this swarm. Storms coming down on all these Ultralisks, but I mean, HappyZerg with some amazing transfuses. Queen fall up to this as well. Tempests are actually being taken out by these Corruptors and the Queens, but the Storms are, I think, actually enough to deal with the Ultralisks, as HappyZerg doesn't have a lot to follow this up. Immortal's going to clean this up as well. Several Templar with plenty of energy to storm will drive HappyZerg back once again. Oh my goodness. NeoAngel chasing him with, well, a quaint force, still a scary force nonetheless. This hatchery going to be forced to be cancelled, if not picked off. It does actually get picked off. But I love his choice to do those Zergling run-bys into the main, and I gotta say, with NeoAngel's army constantly, I mean, he hasn't left this base. This fourth base has been where his army has been sort of settled in all game. If HappyZerg Ultra dropped, if he Zergling dropped, if he threw his entire army into the main, he would pick off every single tech structure of NeoAngel, and I feel that, right now at least, would be 10 times more detrimental than the actual damage he's causing to the army. And although he can't hear me, it looks like he is going to start gearing up for some more drops, unless that's just an accidental Zergling pickup, which looks like to be the case. But this Overseer, again, if he scouts this, if he realizes, like, oh my god, there's actually nothing defending these crucial tech structures, he could get in here and clean everything up. And what is NeoAngel without the ability to remax? Who cares how good these Templar are if he can't rebuild his army afterwards? And as if he could hear me, as if he could read my mind, or I could read his, looks like we do have Ultralisks. Oh, quit messing with me, HappyZerg. So happy to see a potential Doom drop go on, but this base is mining. HappyZerg is aware of it. The catch to Zerg is by having all these bases up earlier, he is actually mining out significantly faster than his opponent. And this is going to become a low econ situation sooner than later. No gas is even up here at his northernmost base, and HappyZerg has to be rather conscious of this. While he's doing great with his army, his economy is going to start to suffer the longer this game goes on. Now it looks like we do have that drop I was pining for all game heading towards the north. Big group of units here in the south. What can he do? Hopefully he can do enough damage. If he hits the southern base, if he hits the northern base, the army of NeoAngel will be forced to split, as a couple of warp-ins will not be enough this time. We saw Zealots and Dark Templar more than enough to deal with this, but oh man, only Zealots coming in this time. He's not using the Ultralisk, but he is slamming right into the 5th. I can't even believe how action-packed this is. Going to pick off a ton of workers just through accidental splash damage, collateral damage, if you will. Archons responding. Meanwhile, in the north, the Tempests have come to the defense of the base. However, only Ultralisks remain. HappyZerg, though, in the very southern part of the map, does get the base and decides to retreat instead of taking a fight he will lose. Great decision-making on his part. And I can't even tell you guys how hard it is to keep up with the action this game. This was a very slow start to a very action-packed finish. HappyZerg continuing to go for these buildings here. And the Tempests are just so slow firing. They're having such a problem dealing with this. Zealots are here. They're doing more damage than the Tempest, though, in reality. Fleet Beacon might just go down. HappyZerg with one more Ultralisk. Is he going to focus it? No, the Fleet Beacon remains. However, the Corruptors come in, and they should be able to deal with these Tempests as they are actually caught on their own away from any sort of defense. And HappyZerg even going to get the Mothership Core. That's quite huge. No more Photon Overcharge for the next defense. And I can't even tell you guys, this is getting wild and quick because now this is getting desperate. And I gotta stress just how desperate this is. These Corruptors, every single one of them could be made into a Broodlord at any given time. And if so, NeoAngel does not have a composition that greatly deals with Broodlords. No Mothership Core, no Vortex even exists in the heart of the Swarm anymore. And without these extra Tempests on the field, with only one being produced at a time out of a Stargate, it's not looking good if that were the switch, but HappyZerg happy to keep all these Corruptors in count. Let's take a look at the unit count on the field for both players. 9 Ultras, 16 Corruptors versus 8 Archons, 6 Immortals, and 1 Colossus. But these 7 Templar with their Storm, I feel, are more than adept in being able to deal with this. Will this base once again be cancelled? Oh my god, that's like cancel number 12 or something on the southern base here. NeoAngel still, though, mining, I feel, a bit more effectively than HappyZerg, but no, I take that back because I realize HappyZerg does have a huge bunch of spines, meaning he'll probably transfer some drones up to one of these bases. And actually, looking straight up at the economy, it's looking really good for HappyZerg. But here comes the big push from a Protoss player, and this isn't always a fun thing to hold. The Spores, the Spines, they're not finished yet. The Ultralisk backing up into a corner. Storm's coming down on nothing, quite frankly. Will drive this army back periodically, but here come the Corruptors, and HappyZerg again, losing so many of them to that. Oh, the splash damage from the Archons, from the Storms. Beautiful transfuses coming, though, out of these Queens consistently all game, playing better than Medics ever possibly could. The Spines to the north. Again, at this point, these Spines, these Spores, they're not meant to be static defenses. They're not planetary fortresses. They're just here to delay the army a bit, while HappyZerg maxes on 8 more Ultras. Here come the Storms, though, big and heavy coming in on most of these Ultralisks, but they do clean them up with the Immortals. The Immortal damage, I feel, is just a little too intense at this point, and HappyZerg, please, please, I beg you, clean up this last Tempest and make some Broodlords. But repositioning here, refining his, like, I guess, exposure, composure, rather, is HappyZerg at this base. And it's kind of funny, again, NeoAngel retreating back to his safe then sorry position, as he has really used this base as his forward bunker the entirety of this game. Corruptor sadly being picked off. And yeah, for those who don't know, it's what is this, 95 damage versus massive units. This is why he's holding off on making those Broodlords, as much as I am pining for it, because they will start to like 2 and 3 shot the Broodlords. And HappyZerg, while he's got so many Ultras on the field, I don't know why he stopped with his drop harass. I feel that was the most effective thing he had going for him this game, playing like a Terran player, because these defensive spots are just not working for him. NeoAngel playing so darn strong this game, though. I gotta give him so many compliments. These Storms, who would have thought these Storms would be so effective versus Ultralisks? And I gotta point out too, HappyZerg has a huge bank of gas. He could make Infestors and go for some sort of burrow shenanigans, throw down a ton of infested Terrans, some Fungals even, I don't know, but I feel like he's not utilizing the full girth of his tech path. NeoAngel, though, breaking down the rocks in the middle of the map, opening up every pathway possible, both players with controls of their own respective watchtowers. And looking at the map, actually, it's very split. Like, this is so yin and yang. Look at the creep spread, look at the base positioning. I mean, this is about as standoffish as it possibly gets. And guys, we're coming up on 33 minutes here, and it doesn't feel like it's been more than 10, because again, it was that slow start to that really epic battle that's been going on non-stop. Now here comes the Greater Spire. Oh man, I think it's about time. I think a Broodlord switch would be the best choice to go for here if he can clean up these Tempests. Because again, Corruptors are great at dealing with the Tempests. If he can pick them off and go for the Broodlords, he'll be in such a good position. But HappyZerg is getting so desperate for resources right now. He's got one base effectively mining half of another. Gases are fine, he's got plenty of gas in the bank, but it's the mineral count that gets worrisome. However, looking at NeoAngel's economy, equally doing well right now. Both players, again, kind of find themselves in that I'm not really on 2 base, but I really am situation. The Spines in this northern base were cleaned up, so was the actual hatchery, so HappyZerg desperately trying to get it rebuilt, but going to find himself met with some pretty sturdy opposition. Meanwhile, we actually have Swarm Hosts coming out next, curiously enough. I actually don't disagree with this choice, as they are free units, and there's not a whole lot of Colossus to deal with them. The Archons, of course, with that splash damage, will have no problem dispatching the Locust, but they will take a lot of damage in the meanwhile. I can't get over how weird this is, though. Rarely, if ever, do you see this many Ultralisks. Like, how many are currently on the field? There's 12 on the field, but there's probably been close to 50 throughout the course of this game. NeoAngel looking to be the one to actually establish his base, and for once, his base is unguarded. And again, I feel like HappyZerg, if he just had that scouting information, if he had an overseer flying around, he could see this and maybe capitalize on it. Because again, those drops, I feel, were the most effective thing he had going for him this entire game. Not to say he's been playing poorly by any means, but I mean, they were so effective, I don't know why they stopped. And wow! Canceling all of those cannons as the Locust dies. Hilarious timing here on a NeoAngel in the northern section of the map, and this is shaping up to be one of those games that I really wish I hadn't opted to solo cast for, especially without any water handy. But I'm going to keep it up, guys. Enjoying Locust on the way. And HappyZerg, I mean, look at this. He's taking the shields off the Immortals, which doesn't seem like a lot right now, but this is free units for damage. And as long as he keeps this up, look at this, he's going to keep whittling away at the Protoss army count. An Immortal might even fall to these Locusts, and Immortal does fall to these Locusts! And HappyZerg is just looking to do so much damage with these Swarm Hosts. They don't actually have, I believe, any upgrades. Let me check this here. Actually, Locusts are at 3-3, I don't know when that happened, so this is actually quite a viable tech transition. Looking at the resources lost here, this is going to start to slowly turn around, but the emphasis here, sadly, on slowly. I would like to see him, even though not going like full tech with him, maybe 2 or 3 Broodlords to add. I mean, Broodlings plus Locust, that much better, but again, NeoAngel has to be wary. If HappyZerg can pick off enough of these Immortals, he can suddenly slam in with the Ultralisks. But Ultralisk patrolling down here to the south, looks like he might want to go for that base, realizing, okay, NeoAngel's positioned in the north, let's just go wipe out his base. But in doing so, he risks heavily losing one of his last mighty bases. And this is quite funny because the Tempest, while they're big, they're ranged, and they're strong, they have such slow attack in comparison. And there is actually an observer for detection in this army. I can't see it physically, it's so clumped up and everything, but these Swarm Hosts now taking a ton of damage. HappyZerg needs to umbrella retreat. His Ultralisk, meanwhile, ravaging the southern base, the 5th base, the important base of NeoAngel, picking off so many probes right now. 62 workers dead at this point, but his own base under a lot of trouble. However, he saves his drones, which I feel are the big accomplishment there. 44 workers to 29, but there's almost no resources, no economy, and no income on the field for either of these players. The big question is, can HappyZerg break this force? He doesn't have the Corruptor count he used to. However, NeoAngel also doesn't have the High Templar count, at least that he used to. 6 now on the field with this army. Plenty of Storms, plenty of Archons still available, but now the Corruptors, they've got to deal with these Tempests. If he can't, he's going to lose this base, and this is so critical. He needs to either take out NeoAngel's base as a response or defend. It looks like his option will be to defend. Where are the Corruptors? Are they with this army? Yes, they are. Storms coming down, Corruption going out on the Tempest. Ultras coming in from behind. There's actually not that many Immortals this time, but HappyZerg, having already lost the base, going to fall back for the time being. Can't blame him. Plenty of these Swarm Hosts, though, going to continue to pick off and nib away at the army of NeoAngel. However, NeoAngel, as we see, is the only person with any production whatsoever going on at the moment. HappyZerg has found himself at quite a standstill. Almost no income. 80, I don't even know where this 40 is. Just the average dwindling down, I guess. Corruptors do clean up all of the Tempests, though, and this is that point. HappyZerg, he's got enough minerals. He can do a quick tech swap. He can get a couple Broodlords on the field if he so desires. And I feel like that would be his strongest asset. Broodlords, Swarm Hosts, and Ultralisks would, I don't know, not absolutely break this army, but crack it so much better than he's been doing so far. Because again, these Ultralisks are being demolished by the Immortals, but the Immortals, as we've seen, not so good at dealing with the Locusts, and Archon falls even, and these small little things, this is what he needs to get back into this. With the warp in at the southern part of the map, he can't afford to lose any of these units. The drone transfer coming in, and I don't think HappyZerg has any overseers on the map. Still no. Again, without that detection, it's so much trouble. But this one singular Ultralisk actually picking up quite a few probes. 2 dead. Gonna get these cannons as well. And man, that +5, 6 armor from chitinous plating really showing how good it can be. HappyZerg, though, again, continuing the assault with the Locust, and I gotta say, this is desperation from him, I feel, because as we look at the income, he has zero mineral income right now, folks. He has almost no harvesters, but NeoAngel is happily mining from his base, fortified it nicely, and almost with a secondary base as well. And HappyZerg, oh, this is such a precarious situation as he finally has an overseer on the field. And I feel like if this Overseer existed 20 minutes ago, this game would be in a completely different shape. He's been constantly picked off, and constantly harassed, and constantly actually losing Ultralisks to simple things like Dark Templar. But okay, here's Vipers. They've got the Blinding Cloud. They've got the pull. If he can start pulling some of these Immortals into the army and picking them off, he'll be in such a good position. Because right now, actually going for the Colossus as well, not a bad choice. but there's almost no anti-air here. So again, I really wish HappyZerg could recognize this and go for some sort of transition. But hey, I'm just a caster. I might be completely wrong and calling for stupid, terrible choices. But I gotta say, just looking at the way this game's progressed, that's what I really do feel would be best. However, oh my goodness, this Dark Templar again, just slaughtering the base. It does go down, but HappyZerg is having so much trouble establishing this, and you got to keep in mind, while he is canceling, sooner or later he's going to be out of resources. And these swarm hosts are kind of forcing NeoAngel to sit in this one location, and as sad as it is, this is quite effective. A very small amount of units trading for not damage, not unit kills, but positioning on the map. That's definitely what he needs for the time being. And oh my god, so many overlords again. Without this anti-air, I even feel like a drop would be quite effective, just immediately connecting all of these units on top of NeoAngel's forces, but we'll have to see. We got some beautiful micro coming out of HappyZerg, and I gotta say, folks, I don't know about NeoAngel, but I've seen HappyZerg play plenty of games that go on well past the hour-long mark, so he is no stranger to this situation. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and if that's the case, well, he's well suited for them. And I gotta say, like, I am gonna be so disappointed if I check on this later and there's no sound recording for the entirety of this. I will absolutely kill myself. But HappyZerg gonna find himself now with NeoAngel finally pushing out on the map for the first time, looking to truly be aggressive. I'm just going to keep the unit tabs open for the time being, guys, since there's nothing going on. But oh my god, he's losing every single worker, and this is actually quite critical. He's trying to push into the base, but he can't afford to do that right now. With no income, no workers, no harvesters, no bases. HappyZerg looking to lose the southern base. Ultras coming in desperate to defend. Storm's going down, but there's too many Colossus. Not enough anti-air. Even the Ultras, or sorry, the Overlord's getting stormed on. And GG. Oh my god, folks. I can't even believe that game went on as long as it did, but NeoAngel taking a victory.